everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Hey, you guys. Thank you so much for the 20 memberships, Miller Time. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the new members. Don't forget, we have a members only Monday coming up this Monday because it's the last Monday of the month. So we're going to be doing the book giveaway, even though we're not done reviewing it. So I'm not going to send it off to the winner until we're done, but we're at least going to keep the announcement of who's going to get it where it needs to be. Okay. I've seen a couple of interviews be done. I am not going to go over those interviews right now. We might not even go over them later. I have them from the, I think it's like Dollinger and I can't remember the other guy's name. They're doing an interview with a lady wearing orange, and they're just pretty much tiptoeing around trying to actually put any weight or any... They're not trying to call or say anything about Bryan that they know that they legally cannot. Like, even when it comes to calling him maybe like a mass M or whatever, because the woman's like, is he possibly a serial because it's 3 or whatever, which is not, like, she obviously has like the definitions a little, you know, misconstrued. But even then they're like quadruple murderer. Like, they're only willing to call him what he legally like is on paper. And when it comes to all the other stuff, they're refusing to like put any weight on it, but they're still sitting there being like, no, there was nothing about Maddie. No, there was nothing about anything. No, there was nothing about this. And I'm just still like, what are we doing? This is the wildest stuff. Literally the wildest stuff. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start on 126 because we stopped yesterday on 125 and we're going to read through 150. I started at 5, so I feel like I'll be done here probably like around 7-ish, maybe, which means that I should be able to get online again later, hopefully. I'm hoping that that's the case, because I've been wanting to do more than one a day, and that's just not how it's been working out, because everything is crazy everywhere. So we'll see what happens, but it's Saturday, so maybe that's what's going to be able to be scheduled in here, is something actually later on tonight. Okay. Oh, so one more thing. Thank you for the 2. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, we're going to get started with these. I know that there are a couple of things again coming out about like what people are saying about him being in jail. Like the one recollection or whatever. And like, I'm still not hearing anything that I need to be worried about or needs to like change my mind. I'm still just really confused at how we got to this certain point. Because even they seem confused about how we got to this certain point. They have no answers, which is just insane. Okay, so this one's dated 1/24/23, and it's from Lawrence Mowry. It's the U of I video, and this is dated for something dated 1/24. Oh, so this is like the first one that we're seeing where they wrote the report the same day. Some of these reports have been written like a month and a half after. A month and a half after like the incident that they're doing the report on. And I'm just like, how can you even make sure that you're remembering things correctly whenever you're writing it this late? There should be like a 5 business day minimum that you're allowed to put off writing the report, because that's wild. Okay. On January 11th, 2023, I met with KN, General Counsel for the University of Idaho, to facilitate the download of video footage from the campus security cameras. I previously spoke with DL, Director of Infrastructure Services, who had preserved videos to be reviewed for any evidence related to the quadruple homicides at 1122 King Road on November 13th, 2022. I provided the university with a storage device capable of storing large amounts of video. On January 18th, 2023, I received a message stating the transfer of the videos was complete and the storage device could be picked up. On January 23rd, 2023, I retrieved the storage device from N and returned it to the Moscow police station, where a copy of the data was transferred to the server in the secure computer forensic lab. The files were verified by hash value to ensure bit-for-bit copying was completed. Now, I know that this is like the 3rd or 4th instance where we're seeing them go to U of I and get information. One of them was about a previously reported R, and we still don't really quite understand like why they were looking that up, especially since they're telling us that this certain incident, like the 1122 King Road incident, there was no sexual thing. So them going and like getting information about a previous R is interesting to me. But this one, I don't want to be like, why are they waiting until 124 to even go get video from U of I? Because I do feel like they did go get other video, like in one of the previous reports. But this seems like they're going in and getting more. So I'm guessing that they're trying to compare, or maybe not even compare. Maybe they just went in and got like storage that falls in line with the dates that Kohberger would have been like living in the area, because like that's their working theory at this point. Which honestly, not even that, because if you go back to that interview that I'm talking about, she's asking them, what's y'all's working theory? They ain't got none. They have no working theories whatsoever. It's still, I'm just still flabbergasted, broskies. I really just am. Okay. Lawrence Mowry, financial warrants number 1. Okay. So one thing we do have to remember when it comes to these warrants and when it comes to a lot of this like financial information and stuff like that, they originally submitted a lot. The first list that came through with like self-authenticating records had, I don't even know, like 70 something. I want to say 70 something. 50 something? It was a lot. Anyway, it was a lot when it comes to different banks, different financial things or whatever. And then as they were arguing back and forth, as they were both filing things back and forth, they were taking things out. Walmart receipts, Winco videos, this financial record, this bank account from this person, a lot of Bryan stuff. They kept some stuff in there, but not really a lot of anything. Nothing that showed any connection for anything. No connections, no transfers, no payments to, or nothing like that. But there was a lot. And it ended up being like dwindled down into barely anything. We have all of it on a spreadsheet. I need to put all of that stuff on a Google Drive still. Okay. Let's go ahead and read these and see which ones they are talking about in this one. But again, a lot of this stuff was already removed from evidence. On November 19th, 2022, I applied for and was granted several warrants for financial institutions who serve the Moscow, Idaho region. Forensic account. I love how they keep doing that. Forensic account is a non-living object that has like a number associated to it that has like information in it. That's what an account is. An accountant is the human person that handles said account. Every single time that he's mentioned Michael Douglas, he calls him a forensic account, like he's not a person. But then again, he could be AI. I mean, honestly, we never had trial. We never saw him speak, honestly. So who knows? Forensic account Michael Douglas with the Federal Bureau of Investigations assisted in the production and service of the warrants. The warrants were approved for the financial records associated with Ethan, Madison, Xana, Kaylee, LM, BF. So who is LM? This is the girl, I think, that was with them that day. I need to go back and get all the names whenever there's actually time. And then, of course, Bethany and Dylan. And any video surveillance pertaining to account transactions of the previously mentioned from the following financial institutions. Bank of America, and they send it to Newark. And the warrant was served on November 21st via FedEx. F.A. Douglas reported the data requested pursuant to the warrant was received on December 6, 2022. The data files were downloaded to the forensic computers located in the secure forensic computer lab at the Moscow Police Department, and then they sent the receipt. The warrant was served for Block, so Square or Cash App, on November 19th. It was reported by Douglas on November 20th that everything came back, and then they put in the receipts and they emailed the receipt back to the same company. So there's that too. PayPal and Venmo. Now there was some interesting Venmo transactions. There was. This warrant was served on the 19th of November, and then it was back according to the feds by the 21st. And Umpqua Bank, that one was served on the 22nd. And came back with receipts on the 23rd. And that's it for that one. Okay, so here's 128. Financial warrants number 2. It's Lawrence Mowry again. November 27, 2022, I applied for several warrants for financial institutions who serve the Moscow area. Let me make this bigger. Forensic accountant Michael Douglas with the Federal Bureau of Investigations assisted in the production and service of the warrants. On November 28, 2022, my request for those warrants were approved for the following, and it's them again, but it's for American Express, and it was served on the 28th of 2022, and they got the information back on January 13th of 2023. Banner Bank, they served it on November 28th and got the information back on December the 6th. For Discover Bank, they served it on November 28th and got the information back on December 9th. Idaho Central Credit Union, November 28th, and got everything back 2 days later on the 30th. Numerica Credit Union sent out on the 28th, came back the next day on the 29th. For Potlatch, it was served on the 28th, came back on December the 9th. For Wells Fargo, it was sent out on November 28th. They got a response on December 30th. Dang, that's a whole month. That's crazy. I don't remember that being so long. But then again, this was like 2.5 years ago we read some of these. Okay. This is Lawrence Mallory for Microsoft Preservation, and it's dated 1/24 of 23 on December 7th. Okay, so this would have been before they had Kohberger's name. This is before the 10th, whenever they got the information back from Othram and then sent it off to the FBI. So they wouldn't have had his information to preserve his stuff yet. So this is a different gamer tag. And it's for somebody with the initials CC. I guess it could be O's because of the way that it's blocked out. So I honestly can't say whether it's OO, CC, OC, CO. I don't know. Like, okay, so for the first one, you really kind of can't tell. But for the last one, if you make it bigger, oh, no, they're both C's. Okay, now you can see the line. The line is not blocked off. So yeah, it's somebody with the initial CC. I'm glad I looked at that because it is really hard to tell from like this far away. Okay. On December 7th, it was requested by Corporal Brett Payne to complete a preservation letter on the Microsoft Xbox gamer tag of blank, which was reportedly the user ID for CC. I completed a PDF document and submitted the preservation request through Microsoft LE portal. I wonder who this is and why they wanted the gamer tag. Like, I wonder if there's conversations. A lot of people get caught when it comes to the crap that they say in gaming chats. So I'm really curious. It's curious. Okay, now we have number 130. Danny Vargas. This is about a tip. Okay. I think just from reading the top, because it has something to do with Chris Engel, which is a name that came up a lot when it came to some information in the Pullman FOIA data drop that we went over. This is, oh, maybe not, because this says that it was on November 17th this person got this tip. So this might actually be something different. I think I'm wrong. Okay, so it was written by Danny Vargas on 125. Video collection and tips. Tips provided. On November 17th, 2022, Detective Chris Engel with PPD provided me with an email with information regarding several Pullman home invasions involving a possible suspect of JAC. And then there's, I guess, maybe another alias right here. I wonder if that's what Ann Taylor wanted to talk to him about. Because in the Pullman information, there's an email between Chris Engel and one of the defense's several PIs wanting to like meet up with him and talk to him about his involvement with the investigation. But we know that Pullman didn't help them with this investigation. Like, that's been one of the biggest things that have come from Jenkins talking, and the information coming from Fry in this book is that for the first time in forever, for the first time in decades, before Fry even gets to Moscow, he doesn't even want Pullman's help. Did y'all also know that Chief Fry never went inside King Road? Put a 1 in the chat if you knew that Chief Fry apparently is telling people that he never went inside the house. I swear we've seen footage of him going in and like taking things out of the home, But in the interview that he just did, which we're going to go over soon here in a couple of days or whatever, he says he never went into the house. Like, it comes out of his own face. He says, I never went in there. I've seen photos about what went on in there, but I never walked into the house. And I was like, I'm sorry? Yeah, he says it. So many of you. Yeah, that's what I said. I could have sworn we saw him. So is he trying to say, right? Like, I swear we saw him. So now I'm going to have to go back and try to see if we can find the footage of him actually like coming out. But he says that he never went into the house, but he saw the pictures. So he has a good idea about what happened in there. That's what he says. Yeah, that's what I thought. So I don't know if it's the way they cut the sentencing, the way that they did this interview, but that's what he says. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like the second I heard that in the kitchen, I stopped and I was like, what? No, see, he was there. He got there. He got there that same day. But he said that he didn't want to like interfere or do anything because he even mentions the fact that there was an FBI agent on scene. Like when he got there, he noticed that there was already a Fed on scene before like he got to the scene. That's what I'm saying. I could have sworn. So maybe he's talking about like he never went inside the house the day of, but saw pictures from like before the bodies were taken out and before the crime scene did what they needed to do. But for them to just cut it that way to where it's like, oh, I never went into the house. I saw pictures. Why would you cut it like that? Because that makes it look like he didn't have like a hand in this investigation at all. I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it after this. I have it saved because I was like, I'm sorry. We saw you. Yeah, it was just poorly written. Poorly worded, maybe. Yeah. Let me see. Let me pull it up like right now. Because he says that and I'm like, I'm sorry? You never did what now? Yeah, here it is. Okay, let me pull it up in the transcript and then I'll pull it up real quick so y'all can hear him say it. Like I'll play it like a minute or so before so you can see like the context. I'll use the word inside. Right here. Okay, ready? So it's at like he says it at like 5:57, but I'm going to start a few seconds ahead.
Call about the murders, but rushed back to Moscow to oversee the investigation.
Number one, I didn't go into the house. And the reason is every time you go into a crime scene, you could contaminate it. And as the chief, that wasn't my role at that time. But I've seen pictures of what took place there. It was horrific. It is horrific. It's devastating to communities, devastating to a state.
And then he goes on, yeah. It looked like I didn't go in the house.
Investigation.
Number one, I didn't go into the house. And the reason is every time you go into a crime scene, you could contaminate it. And as the chief, that wasn't my role at that time. But I've seen pictures of what took place there.
I never went inside. I saw pictures. That's good enough for me. What? What? Yeah, guys. Like I understood it the way that it was put in the book where he was like, my job was to delegate and make sure that I put the right people in these certain positions so that the right things could get done and basically be like a support if they needed it. I understand that. But as chief, for you to know that Bill Thompson, that Ann Taylor, that all these people are walking around the crime scene, okay, to know, well, I don't think Ann Taylor showed up anytime yet. I don't think it was still like way later on. But for sure, like Bill Thompson and a bunch of other people, that could be wrong. Now I'm second guessing myself. But for sure, Bill Thompson, because we know for a fact he was there the first day. You've got the feds walking around, you know, calling an ISP. You have like all these different people coming in and you don't even bother to go in and see what the hell like your people are working on. You say you want to be a support system, but how can you do that if you don't know what the hell you're supporting because you don't have an idea? what did you go to the crime scene for anyway? If you didn't go in to do anything, why are you writing reports about stuff if you didn't even go inside and look at stuff? How did you move stuff around? Like, it's just odd. Why would you say that? Right? That's one of the interviews I want to go over. Like the crap he says, and then the one with Dellinger and the other guy. Yeah, Jennings was there too. You're right. You're right. I think I remember him going in too. Lanier. Thank you for the 5. Chief Fry was too busy driving the U-Haul. That's why. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that means that he went inside. Like, I know damn well we saw him. So I'm hoping he just means, like, that day. Because we know damn well that he was moving furniture and stuff out of there. But to seriously be like, as the chief, I didn't even bother. That's why you didn't win sheriff. That's why they had to find you a what you call it, like a second best job or whatever over in Washington. Because if Latah County really thought you did your job worth a damn, you'd have won. Okay. They didn't want you. Now you're not even in Idaho no more. You're in Washington. I know, right? Why even say that? I don't know. That's what I said. I'm like, what? Insane. All right, let's get back to this. Let's see what I mean. Like, there's these crazy interviews in the middle of all these documents and this damn book and like all these things and the things being said and everything's everywhere. And man, no wonder my brain feels like mush half the time. I need to get a better organization system for all this because at this point, like, I can't keep up. Like, it's been trickling to a point where I could keep up just fine and I wasn't feeling so like overwhelmed. But with all of this and like everything in the middle, I'm definitely like, I don't even know what to think anymore. Nothing that we've been told this whole time has like been validated. It's all being like flip-flopped all over the place. Thank you for the 2, Dreamcatcher. I think he's trying so hard to distance himself. That's what it seems like. It seems like that's what he's doing. Like, you can't. Your face is plastered in like on every press conference. Even in the video right before y'all announced his arrest, where y'all said that y'all were going to release the 911 call and then you didn't. It's your face, bro. Okay. Video collection and tips. Again, just to refresh, because we sidetracked. We went squirrel for a second. Danny Vargas wrote this one. This is 125 of 23. Tip provided. On November 17th, 2022, Detective Chris Engel with PPD provided me with an email with information regarding several Pullman home invasions involving a possible suspect of JAC, and then there's like an alias or maybe a nickname. I forwarded this email to the FBI Moscow tip line to be assigned and followed up with. On December 13th, 2022, I saw an article online of the recent arrest of SH in blank. Who the frick is that? H was arrested for injuring multiple people in a casino in blank and fled the area in a white sedan. What? I reached out and spoke to Detective M.A. with Blank County Sheriff's Office. Detective A provided me with the description of the suspect vehicle and the weapon which was used for this offense, and it's completely blanked out. Why? Is it because it's a K-bar? Why are we blanking this out? Now I want to go find this. It's not going to be hard to find. Detective A also stated the sheath for the knife was located on the passenger seat of the suspect vehicle. I determined this person was not involved in our incident and told Detective A I would not need any further information regarding their incident. Could have been a secondary knife, you loser. What do you mean? Just because the sheath was found there doesn't mean that the person couldn't have been involved. That's a lame-ass excuse. Okay. Around December 15th, 2022, so the day of the Indiana traffic stops, December 15th, I received a phone call from Detective F from Blank County Sheriff's Office with information on an abandoned 2016 white Hyundai Elantra. Oh, this is the Oregon one. Which was located in Blank County near a residence. I called Detective F back and he provided me with the plate, which was registered to CC out of blank. Is that the CC? That's the same gamer tag person? Because I could have sworn that whenever people pulled up the information for the Oregon car that it like somehow miraculously went back to King Road. That's how I remember that. I never did the digging myself. I just remember everybody in the mama that was looking at the organ car found that it went back to King Road. So that's interesting. And this CC person is the same as the gamer tag person. Out of blank, Detective F stated there was a past contact at the residence where his vehicle was seen parked involving a relative of C, EPC, and RLS. Man, what's up with these damn initials? I hate these damn initials. Detective F sent me a photo of the vehicle, which I determined did not match the suspect vehicle description. Sergeant Blaker also had received this tip from Detective F and spoke with him. So there was enough going on here to where these people thought there really was a problem. Video obtained and downloaded to MPD evidence on November 15th, 2022. Okay, so we're backtracking a month because this last insert is December 15th, okay? On November 15th, 2022, I called KF, the property owner for blank Linda Lane, and asked about, oh, that's Kane, isn't it? Kane, I don't remember the last name, but I'm pretty sure this is Kane right here, and asked about video footage he has on the property. F stated he did have video and later sent me an email with a direct login to his camera system so the videos could be viewed for any time frame. Details of the email are below. R&D, below is a link to a Google Drive with footage from our cameras at blank Linda Lane. I uploaded videos from 2 cameras from 0200 through 0600 on 11/13. One camera shows the parking lot of blank, including a little bit of the parking lot from the Queen Apartments below. The other camera covers the street of Linda Lane looking towards Taylor and Blake, the dumpster. The longer videos, larger files, show an entire hour, while the shorter videos show clips where the camera system detected motion. And then that shows like the web page. The videos are currently uploading, so keep refreshing if they are not all there. Additionally, I am providing a login to the camera system so that you can review any of the cameras for any time. And then there's email, username, and password. Once logged in, you can choose any of the 4 cameras from the list on the right if using a PC. You can click on the playback tab on the top, and then the date from the calendar on the right. Then use the timeline at the bottom to select when to view. Note that the camera that points down Linda Lane goes offline every day from blank for a scheduled Wi-Fi reset. I do remember hearing about that like way early on. In addition to using a web browser to view the videos, there is a PC app and a mobile app that can be downloaded and installed. Just search for blank. You can use the same IP address as in the URL above, along with the blank when configuring the app. If you need any help viewing any of this, don't hesitate to reach out. Cell, and then it shows this person's cell. I forwarded this information to FBI RH on how to access the Linda Lane video. On November 17th, 2022, I called CF, who lives at blank Drive. I asked F if she still had her Nest camera system, and she stated she did. Okay, so this is F, the same as the other one. I wonder if this is his wife. There was a conversation that was had between Brett Norton and Kane's wife, along with that Rory guy from, I don't think he has this channel anymore. Actually, I don't know. I haven't looked for it in a while, but he was with Thou Shalt Not Kill. He was around for all the Linda Lane stuff, and then like Riley Lively and Brett Norton would go on his channel to talk about it. But they had a phone call that they recorded with Kane's wife about this footage. I don't know if it's still like on YouTube or whatever, but we talked about it. We went over it. F put me in contact with her husband, BB. Okay, so this is a different person. Why do they have a different last name? You know, whatever, and said he could provide me with their available camera footage. B brought a hard drive to MPD, which contained video footage from their Nest cameras. A white sedan matching the description of the suspect vehicle is seen traveling west on Indian Hills Drive and passes by Indian Hills Drive on 11/13/2022 at approximately 03:25 hours. Around the end of November and the beginning of December 2022, Detective Chris Engel, PPD, provided me with the following videos from several Pullman businesses. Okay, are these like different from the ones that we have in the inventory already? Probably so. On December 2nd, 2022, Detective Chris Engel provided me with a contact information from the blank Pullman, Washington. I reached out to the corporate security head, MG, and he stated we could come to the branch in Pullman and view the video on site to see if it would be of any evidentiary value prior to requesting a search warrant to obtain the video. FBI RP made arrangements to view the available video at blank blank. FBI blank called me and told me he viewed the available video and did not locate anything of evidentiary value. On January 3rd, 2023, KL, Pullman PD records specialist, sent me a link to ppdevidence.com and shared all videos and photos for 2 PPD cases, blank and D. Blanked. I don't know why they just didn't like do the whole thing, because I don't know what that's supposed to be for. Blank was a found buck knife. What? Blank was a found buck knife in a sheath located on Tier View in front of the WSU Technology Research Park on 12/29/22. The photos for this case are attached in Spillman to the original call, and I did not download the photos from ppdevidence.com. One more time. What the frickin' frack does this say? This grammar right here is all jacked up. Okay. Blank was a found buck knife in a sheath. Maybe this is like a case number or something, or like a report number of somebody reporting this being found. But okay, so it was a buck knife that had a sheath that was located in front of the WSU Technology Research Park. The day that they were getting like the affidavit and everything written up for Bryan. This is 12/29. The photos for this case are attached in Spillman to the original call, and I did not download the photos from ppdevidence.com. Blank was a hit and run / DUI accident at blank, which occurred. This is the one that happened right in front of his apartment complex. I don't know why all of a sudden it's like hard for me to breathe. I know there's like a storm coming in, so I don't know if like they have something coming in or what. Okay. I know a lot of people went through this footage. Like a lot of people got FOIAs for the body cam of the police officers that showed up for this accident on 11/12 and like looked for somebody that looked like Kohberger or his car. I remember like maybe one person came out and had like a still shot and it looked like maybe somebody was walking in the background. But to me, it didn't look like Kohberger. To a lot of people, it didn't look like Kohberger. It only really like resembled him to a very few amount of people that were looking at it. But I don't remember anybody finding anything where his car was on it, seeing leaving or anything, because it was around the same time that they're claiming that his car left. So I don't know. Maybe we need to go back and look at it and see if we can see anything else. Because the whole thing about how they keep saying that his car went north on Nevada like bothers me. So I'm just curious as to how they actually know it was his car, since it was like dark and they can't even in the daylight like prove it was his car whatsoever. There's a lot that we still need to like try to get to make sense. Okay. Okay, this location is on the same road leading to Kohberger's apartment complex. Multiple officers responded to this location and remained on scene for several hours with their in-car cameras and body cameras capturing video. The video spanned from 11/12/22 at 23:41 hours to 11/13/22 at 03:25 hours. The suspect vehicle was located on WSU Greek Row, and officers responded to that location as well. CF, the owner of the suspect vehicle, was contacted and arrested for this offense and booked into the Whitman County Jail. While reviewing the photos located on Kohberger's phone, I found a screenshot of F. Whitman County booking information taken from the Whitman County Jail roster, last modified date 11/13/22 at 6:27 p.m. I will review to see if Kohberger drove by the incident between 23:41 and 03:25 hours. So he had like a screenshot of the guy that was involved in the hit and run on his phone. He was probably just going to look into him. I know that that's one thing that some people are saying, that they have like, he has screenshots of stuff about the crime on his phone, like news reports and stuff like that. I mean, how many of us like screenshotted stuff that we saw while we were scrolling through Twitter, while we were scrolling through just our regular like Google feed? Like all of us did, so that we could keep track and remember what was going on. So that's like the behavior that we were all doing. So I can't really hold that to anything either. Like it's going to have to be better than what we do on a daily basis. You know what I mean? Okay. What the frick is Mingles? A bar and grill. Okay. This was written by Brett Payne on 1/26/23 for something that happened way back on November 17th. Again, why are we waiting 2 months to write a report? TR of Mingles Bar and Grill provided copies of all credit card transactions from Mingles for November 12, 2022. R provided these copies to MPD reception. I received the transaction records on 1/23/23. For what? For what? Who? Okay, so who went to Mingles? Because they would have only been needing to get these if they know for a fact that somebody involved went to this. Do we have a location of anybody going to this bar and grill before? I've never heard of Mingles before. On 1/26/23, I scanned the documents and digitally attached them to this case. The originals were provided to MPD records. Mingles Bar and Grill. Where is this? Let me look. Idaho? Yeah, there's one in Moscow. So it's right here. This is the Bucer's Coffee House that we see a lot of talk about. Here's the Christ Church down here. Here's the Moscow Bagel place. Okay. Okay. I wonder why, because I've never heard of that one yet. I wonder who they thought was over there. Because they would have probably needed like proof that somebody was there. Okay. So this is again the same thing. Oh, no, it's over here. I didn't close it. Okay. Okay, so this one is written by Rosenthal. Release of dog from shelter. So this would be Murphy. Man, the new information about Murphy is cray cray, bro. I can't wait to put all that together because damn, what? They go from saying they want us to know, like Thompson stood up in court with red cheeks, pissed off, pounding fists. Kohberger did not stalk them. There was no connection, and there was no stalking and no social media, no nothing. Just for us to now be hearing all these reports of there was somebody stalking the shit out of Kaylee, someone in the woods and in the tree line, maybe even somebody trying to get like Murphy to be, you know, friendly with them and maybe keeping Murphy in the bushes a little bit longer whenever Murphy was called back into the house after acting crazy and making a, you know, beeline to the bushes. That's creepy. And according to her friends, reports of this were before she moved to King Road, before Kohberger would have even moved to the area. So I love how they like try to act as if none of it was happening at all. But then we have all these reports of them like hearing several people telling the police, yes, there was a problem. Somebody was doing this. Emily and Emily's mom is even telling the police, yeah, this is kind of creepy. This is what was going on. All these people had the story. Even Jack told the police of Kaylee telling them that somebody was watching her from the trees. And they had the damn audacity to come out and say that there was no stalking rumors for Kaylee whatsoever that were validated. So all these people know this story. All these people seen these weird things and have like observed these things with the dog and like gotten home and the doors wide open on both ends multiple different times. And we're just going to act like none of this is happening. So if not Kohberger, because he obviously wasn't stalking them, then who was it? Who was stalking Kaylee? Who was getting into the house and leaving the doors practically off the hinges? Who was hiding out in the tree line? Was it just too difficult for you to figure out, so you just went to the easiest answer and played puppet? This is so stupid. I hate all of this. I hate all of this so much. Okay, on 11/13/22, at around 1800 hours, I was tasked with releasing a dog from the Humane Society to its owner, Jack Decor. The dog had been transported earlier in the day from 1122 King Road to the Humane Society by LCSO Deputy Olson. I released the dog to Decor without incident and gave the impound paperwork to Kaplan Lanier. No body-worn camera. And that's it for that one. Okay, this one is written by Lawrence Mowry, and this is Tinder Kohberger warrant. So Bryan's Tinder warrant. On January 24th, 2023, I applied for a warrant for the user subscriber information and user data associated with a Tinder account of Bryan Kohberger with any of the following identifiers. The grammar, bro. I can't. Okay. Blank at Gmail, DeSales, and then a phone number and an IMEI. On January 25th, 2023, the warrant was granted and signed by Magistrate Megan Marshall with 7 days to serve the legal process. January 26, 2023, at approximately 09:22 hours, the warrant was served to Tinder. I received an email shortly after the submission confirming receipt. Later that day, I received a call from SM, customer representative for Match Group. M informed me they had located a previous account linked to the email blank.com. However, no further information was available as the account was deleted. I requested any and all information available for the deleted account. On January 30th, 2023, I received an email from Tinder stating the data requested pursuant to the warrant was available to download. I logged into the law enforcement portal and began downloading the files to the forensic computers. In reviewing the contents, I found several unique identifiers associated with, it's in parentheses, associated with the blank Gmail account. These UIDs were also associated with the phone number of blank. The UIDs were as follows, and it has it all blanked out. A warrant return receipt and affidavit were completed, and these documents were sent to the Latell County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court, and a copy was sent to Match.com. Okay, so really no information whatsoever. Okay, so like, again, this is going to kind of be like nothing. Lawrence Mowry, Tinder warrant for Mogen. We've already heard that her Tinder account was like way not active. I think since like 2021 or something like that. On December 22nd, 2022, I applied and was granted for a warrant for the user subscriber information associated with accounts that communicated with Maddie Mogen's Tinder account using the following identifiers. On December 22nd, 2022, at approximately 15:19 hours, a warrant was served via the law enforcement portal. On January 30th, 2023, I received an email from Tinder stating the data requested pursuant to the warrant was available. He logged in, downloaded it, and did whatever he needed to do, and then sent back a receipt. So I wonder, honestly, I kind of like wonder why they even did that. Since they said that her Tinder stuff hadn't been active since 2021, there was no communication. So I don't know what the point was for that, especially since they've already said at this point now that there's no connections between anything. And it's crazy too, because in that interview with the two police officers, she's asking them about like the social media connections, all that stuff that the Goncalveses were pushing. And they're like, nope, no proof of that at all. We wanted there to be, but nope, nothing. All of the accounts that were sent to us, people had created that had nothing to do with him. So it makes me wonder, like, if there was any created by a certain family, just try to keep pushing that narrative, because I don't trust anything at all. It's just wild. Okay. Brett Payne, arrest warrant and arrest of Kohberger. And look at this. Not on. Okay. Based off information obtained during the course of this investigation. When was this dated? 2/1/23. Is this report being written? Jesus Christ. Okay. I applied for an arrest warrant for Bryan C. Kohberger. Magistrate Judge Marshall signed the warrant on 12/29/22. Previous search warrants and information led investigators to believe Kohberger left Pullman, Washington, and returned to his parents' home in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. Sergeant Gilbertson with ISP, TS with the FBI, and I flew to Pennsylvania on 12/29/22 and met with the Pennsylvania State Police and FBI personnel there. Okay, I was making sure this was written by Payne. At approximately 0100 hours on 12/30/22, the PSP SERT team conducted an operation at blank and took Kohberger into custody based off of the warrant signed by Judge Marshall. Kohberger was taken to a nearby PSP barracks where Sergeant Gilbertson and I interviewed him for approximately 45 minutes. See Sergeant Gilbertson's report on the interview for full details. The warrant was served to Kohberger upon his extradition back to Idaho and his booking into the Latell County Jail. Yeah, we need to remember that too. We were told, I believe it was the closed session in January by Payne, that they didn't they didn't even go inside the gated community where Kohberger's parents' house was. They didn't even go in there. They watched whatever was going on through a screen on a phone, on a camera, on a drone. Like a drone was flying over the house and they were watching on a screen on a phone or some device. They never even stepped foot like over there at all. They waited at the police department for them to bring him in. Okay, so this is Brett Payne again, and this was written on, oh my gosh. Okay, 2/1/23 narrative. As part of the investigation, an extensive search, commonly referred to in law enforcement as a video canvass, was conducted in the area of the King Road residence. This video canvass was to obtain any footage from the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022 in the area of the King Road residence and surrounding neighborhoods in an effort to locate the suspects or suspect vehicle or vehicles traveling to or leaving from the King Road residence. Okay, this video canvas resulted in the collection of numerous surveillance videos in the area for both residential and business addresses. I have reviewed numerous videos that were collected and have had conversations with the other MPD officers, ISP detectives, and FBI agents that are similarly reviewing footage that was obtained. A review of camera footage indicated that a white sedan, hereafter suspect vehicle 1, was observed traveling westbound in the blank block of Indian Hills Drive in Moscow at approximately 3:26 a.m. and westbound on Steiner Avenue at Idaho State Highway 95 in Moscow at approximately 3:28 a.m. On this video, it appeared suspect vehicle 1 was not displaying a front license plate, nor did it appear the vehicle had fog lights in the lower portion of the front bumper based off video obtained from the SM located blank. So this is like, I think, the gas station. This was the video which captured suspect vehicle 1 crossing South Main Street from Steiner Avenue to Louder Avenue at approximately 3:28 a.m. A review of footage from multiple videos obtained from the King Street neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1 starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m. These sightings show suspect vehicle 1 makes an initial 3 passes by the 1122 King Road residence and then leave via Willenta Drive. Based off of my experience as a patrol officer, this is a residential neighborhood with a very limited number of vehicles that travel in the area during the early morning hours. That is so not true. Upon review of the video, there are only a few cars that enter and exit this area during this time frame. No, there's not. There's multiples. Just from their interviews, people that have been in the area and all the other information, there's multiple that are walking around, driving around, and all the things at the same time. So no, that's not true. Suspect vehicle 1 can be seen entering the area a 4th time at approximately 4:04 a.m. and can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping and turning around in front of blank Queen Road number blank, and then driving back westbound on King Road in front of, oh no, I just repeated that one again. Driving back westbound on King Road. Okay. When suspect vehicle 1 is in front of the King Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. Yeah, it sounds like Molly, even though Molly wasn't driving this vehicle. I don't see how she can sit there for like almost how long at this point? Like we're thinking what, 30 to 45 minutes? Maybe not that long, but probably like 30-ish minutes because she's claiming to have been in front of King Road for 15 minutes, staring right at it, not knowing that's the house that she has to drop the food at. Then she goes to the back, parks around the back, walks down, gets back in her car, walks her dog at some point, hangs around, then finally drops off the food. And you really don't see nothing but a tan SUV. And they're trying to say, oh, this car parked behind her, but she had no recollection of it whatsoever. I'm sorry. That makes no sense. She's sitting there for how long and doesn't notice a car coming out behind her? What is she doing in her car that makes her so like not aware? None of that makes any damn sense. The vehicle then continued to the intersection of Queen Road and King Road, where it can be seen completing a 3-point turn and then driving eastbound again down Queen Road. Suspect vehicle 1 is next seen departing the area of the King Road residence at approximately 4:20 a.m. at a high rate of speed. Suspect vehicle 1 is next observed traveling southbound on Willenta Drive. Based on my knowledge of the area and review of camera footage in the neighborhood that does not show suspect vehicle 1 during that time frame, I believe that suspect vehicle 1 likely exited the neighborhood at Palouse River Drive and Conestoga Drive. See, that's that part of the PCA where we were like, so because it says that it doesn't have anything this way, because the DoorDash, because the cameras on to the left basically don't show anything whatsoever. It has to be the cameras off to the right, even though technically there's nothing there either. But because it doesn't have it to the left, we don't have a choice but to think it goes to the right. Even though, again, there's no proof it goes to the right. That's what this is saying. Like, there's no evidence either way, but because the first way that they looked didn't have it, they're just going to assume it's the other way. Whenever, it could be that the car didn't have shit to do with shit. You lost whatever you were looking for. And maybe the people that are involved don't have a car involved. And maybe you're chasing a ghost. Like, literally. Because none of their crap, none of their bullshit makes any sense. Pullman, Washington is approximately 10 miles from Moscow. Oh, hold on. Palouse River Drive is at the southern edge of Moscow and proceeds into Whitman County, Washington. Eventually, the road leads to Pullman, Washington. Pullman, Washington is approximately 10 miles from Moscow, Idaho. Both Pullman and Moscow are small college towns, and people commonly travel back and forth between them. See, so right here, too, they're trying to say, oh, the vehicle had to have headed straight back to Pullman. But then also, as they go on, they tell us that there's this huge, horseshoe of traveling done. So which is it? Did the car head straight back to Pullman, the way that you want us to believe here? Or did the car do this horseshoe thing? Because you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. Law enforcement officers provided video footage of suspect vehicle 1 to forensic examiners with the Federal Bureau of Investigation that regularly utilize surveillance footage to identify the year, make, and model of an unknown vehicle that is observed by one or more cameras during the commission of a criminal offense. The forensic examiner has approximately 35 years law enforcement experience with 12 years at the FBI. His specific training includes identifying unique characteristics of vehicles, and he uses a database that gives visual clues of vehicles across states to identify differences between vehicles. After reviewing the numerous observations of suspect vehicle 1, the forensic examiner initially believed that suspect vehicle 1 was a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. Upon further review, he indicated it could also be a 2011 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. As a result, investigators have been reviewing information in persons in possession of a vehicle that is a 2011 to 2016 white Hyundai Elantra. Now remember, the FBI guy wasn't actually comfortable with moving it out of the 2011 to 2013 time frame. And I find it really interesting that whenever Fry, was it Fry? I think it was Fry. He's asked, if it wasn't for the FBI call, with the DNA tip or whatever, would y'all have found him? And he's like, oh yeah, eventually we would have tracked him from his car because, we had the car on camera. No, you wouldn't have. Because it wasn't until the FBI had Bryan's name that the year of the vehicle got changed. And the year that y'all were looking for before the FBI tip had Pullman finding Bryan's car and not even turning it into you guys because it wasn't the right year. So no, sir, you would have never gotten to Bryan Kohberger's arrest because nothing that you had was actually pointing you there. Tell me one thing that Moscow had before they had that call that was actually pointing them to this person. I'll wait. Yeah, exactly. There was nothing. Nothing until after. None of this mattered until after they had his name. Investigators were given access to video footage on the Washington State University campus located in Pullman, Washington. A review of that video indicated that at approximately 2:53 a.m. on November 13th, a white sedan, which is consistent with the description of the white Elantra known as Suspect Vehicle 1, was observed traveling southeast on Nevada Street in Pullman, Washington towards SR 270. SR 270 connects Pullman, Washington to Moscow, Idaho. This camera footage from Pullman, Washington was provided to the same FBI forensic examiner. The forensic examiner identified the vehicle observed in Pullman as being a 2014 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. Well, then one would assume that it's a completely different vehicle than the one you're looking for. Dumb. You have over 20,000 of these exact same vehicles, and you've got a completely different year range that you're looking for here, and those year ranges are placed that way for a reason. So one would think this would mean to someone with common sense that this is a completely different car. At approximately 5:25 a.m., a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of suspect vehicle 1, was observed on 5 cameras in Pullman, Washington, and on WSU campus cameras. The first camera that recorded the white sedan was located at blank Johnson Road in Pullman. The white sedan was observed traveling northbound on Johnson Road. Johnson Road leads directly back to West Palouse River Drive in Moscow, which intercepts with Conestoga Drive. The white sedan was then observed turning north on Bishop Boulevard and northwest on SR 270. At approximately 5:27 a.m., the white Elantra was observed on camera traveling northbound on Stadium Way at Nevada Street, Stadium Way at Grimes Way, Stadium Drive at Wilson Drive, and Stadium Way at Cougar Way. On November 25th, 2022, MPD asked area law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for white Hyundai Elantras in the area. Be honest and say what year range you were actually asking them to look for. Jenkins already told us. So why weren't they honest and say, we didn't have the original date range on there correctly? It wasn't until later. Of course, they're not going to be honest. On November 29th, 2022, at approximately 12:28 a.m., see, this is where they start to lie. This is where they're going to start to lie, because while this happened, okay, while there was a query, while there was someone who saw the car in a parking lot, while there was someone who looked the car up, this tip was not turned in because it did not fall into the criteria that the police sent out on their internal do not share with the public BOLO. So for them to place it in the PCA is false, in my opinion, because this was not turned in when it comes to a tip. Ann Taylor said this. Everything that's come out since has proven that. Jenkins himself has said, yeah, we pulled it up. It was a different year. We saw he had been pulled over in October. We didn't send it over. So if that's the case, if they know damn well that they didn't have that information until the 20th, after the 20th of December, according to Jenkins himself, why is it allowed to be in here? This did not lead them to Kohberger. They didn't even get this tip. This was not sent in. It's amazing how they can get away with just like falsifying information. Let's read the lie, even though we've already heard it. On November 29th, 2022, at approximately 12:29 a.m., Washington State University WSU police officer Daniel Tiango queried white Elantras registered at WSU. As a result of that query, he located a 2015 white Elantra with a Pennsylvania license plate, blah, 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 blah. This vehicle was registered to Bryan Kohberger, hereafter Kohberger, residing at blank, Pullman, Washington. Blank is approximately 3/4 of a mile from the intersection of Stadium Way and Cougar Way, last camera location that picked up the white Elantra. But you're not saying that at the time you weren't looking for a 2015. You're not saying they didn't actually turn this tip in. And then they try to like say that it matters by this next part right here. Upon receipt of this information, I reviewed Kohberger's stuff. Yeah, you didn't though, until after Jenkins sent it over to you in December. That same day at approximately 12:58 a.m., WSU officer Curtis Whitman was looking for white Hyundai Elantras and located a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra at blank in Pullman in the parking lot. Blank is an apartment complex that houses WSU students. Officer Whitman also ran the car, and it returned to Kohberger with a Washington tag. So that just makes it even more doubly stupid, because that's two people, again, that looked up the car, saw that it was the wrong year and not what was being looked at, and didn't turn it in. It was not turned in as a tip whatsoever. Upon receipt of this information, I reviewed Kohberger's, well, it says Kohberg, but Kohberger's Washington State driver's license information and photograph via a driver's license query for that name. which was honestly probably done like the same day that y'all got his name. So I don't believe that at all either. This license indicates that Kohberger is a white male with a height of 6 foot and weighs 185 pounds. Additionally, the photograph of Kohberger shows that he has bushy eyebrows. Kohberger's physical description is consistent with the description of the male DM saw inside the King Road residence on November 13th. Further investigation, including a review of Latell County Sheriff's Deputy Corporal Duke's body cam and reports, showed that on August 21st, 2022, Bryan Kohberger was detained as part of a traffic stop that occurred in Moscow, Idaho by Corporal Duke. At the time, Kohberger, who was the sole occupant, was driving a white 2015 Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plate blank, which was set to expire on November 13th, 2022. So let me just stop right here. So whenever they were looking for a 2013 or whatever, like Hyundai Elantra, they didn't like search their own database to see if they had any traffic run-ins or anything like that with similar vehicles, or did they? And because his was a 2015, it didn't actually like pull up in the system. Because I've always wondered that. Like they have this now, like after they had Brian's name, but there was like no way for them to go in and look in their own system for traffic stops with Hyundai Elantras, white Hyundai Elantras. I feel like there like probably was, you know, if a smart person put their system together anyway. Okay. And it talks about how his Pennsylvania plate was set to expire November 30th. I am really tired. I don't know why I'm yawning so much, honestly. Okay. During the stop, which was recovered via a law enforcement body camera, Kohberger provided his phone number as blank, hereafter the 8458 phone, as his cellular telephone number. Investigators conducted electronic database queries and learned that the 8458 number is a number issued by AT&T. Now, remember, the state had this information submitted under 404B evidence, but it was only being used by the state for identification purposes for him, his address, his phone number, and his car. But the judge, the shiesty-ass judge, put in his order when it came to all of the motions they were going back and forth with, all the fighting, put in his order that instead of it just being what the state said, the judge placed it as some sort of like premeditation, pre-planning. Like he put his own twist on it whenever that wasn't what it was being submitted for. And part of the 404B rules is that you have to say why. You have to give it a purpose. So whenever they submitted it, they had to say, this is for identification purposes only, not to show pre-planning, premeditation, that he was in the area for any other reason other than whatever the intentions were for him being there, that he said to the police officer. It's literally just for ID. So when the judge came out and twisted that up himself and was like, oh, this is premeditation, this is this. And I'm like, excuse me? That's your opinion based off of what? Because that's not what's being said by the people that are actually bringing the charges. So I can't wait to get the body cam of that one. I've tried even after they like said it was some sort of public document and they denied it again, but maybe now it'll finally come in. Hopefully we will see. On October 14th, 2022, Bryan Kohberger was detained as part of a traffic stop by a WSU police officer. Upon review of that body cam and report of the stop, Kohberger was the sole occupant and was driving a white 2015 Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plate blank. On November 18th, 2022, according to Washington State Licensing, Kohberger registered the 2015 white Hyundai Elantra, white Elantra, with Washington and later received Washington plate blank. Prior to this time, the 2015 white Elantra was registered in Pennsylvania, which does not require a front license plate to be displayed. This was learned through communications with a Pennsylvania officer who is currently certified in the state of Pennsylvania. Well, you would assume based on that, but okay. Based on my own experience and communication with Washington law enforcement, I know that Idaho and Washington require front and back license plates to be displayed. Investigators believe that Kohberger continued to drive the white Elantra as the vehicle was captured on November 13th, 2022 by a license plate reader in Loma, Colorado, information provided by a query to a database. Kohberger's Elantra was then queried on December 15, 2022 by law enforcement in Hancock County, Indiana. It was later learned this query was a result of a traffic stop in Hancock County, Indiana, wherein Kohberger was the driver of the white Elantra with his father as the passenger. Kohberger was stopped again 9 minutes later in Hancock County and released without citation for further enforcement. So they're really in this like write-up of these gonna mention like nothing about the feds because they came out and took responsibility for those at first, or at least one of them, and then like 3 days later they backtracked. It was like in an article. On December 16th, 2022 at approximately 2:26 p.m., surveillance video obtained by request of FBI agents in Pennsylvania showed Kohberger's Elantra in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. The only visible occupant of the vehicle was a white male whose description was consistent with Kohberger. Kohberger has family in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, learned through a TLO search and locate tool database query, namely blank, an address which is inside the gated community where the footage was captured. I'm guessing that this is the CVS because they mention a CVS in Albrightsville on the 16th and like seeing him go in and out of it. Based on information, well, so I'm guessing they did that on footage. Or maybe they saw him physically do it, but then got the footage after they physically saw him go in and out. Maybe that's what it was. It was weird wording the first time they mentioned it. Based on information provided on the WSU website, Kohberger was a PhD student in criminology at Washington State University. Pursuant to records provided by a member of the interview panel for Pullman Police Department, we learned that the fall 2022 semester was Kohberger's first semester at WSU. Additionally, these same records indicated Kohberger's past education included undergraduate degrees in psychology and cloud-based forensics. These records also showed Kohberger wrote an essay when he applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department in the fall of 2022. Kohberger wrote in his essay he had interest in assisting rural law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze technological data in public safety operations. Kohberger also posted a Reddit survey, which can be found in an open source internet search. The survey asked for participants to provide information to understand how emotions and psychological traits influence decision-making when committing a crime. We've gone through those, the survey. We've gone over it. As part of this investigation, law enforcement obtained search warrants to determine cellular devices that utilize cellular towers in close proximity to the King Road residence on November 13th, 2022, between 3 and 5 a.m. After determining that Kohberger was associated with both the 2015 white Elantra and the 8458 phone, investigators reviewed the search warrant returns. A query of the 8458 phone in these returns did not show the 8458 phone utilizing cellular tower resources in close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 and 5. Based on my training, experience, and conversations with law enforcement officers that specialize in the utilization of cellular telephone records as part of investigations, individuals can either leave their cellular telephone at a different location before committing a crime or turn those cellular telephones off prior to going to a location to commit a crime. This is done by subjects in an effort to avoid alerting law enforcement that a cellular device associated with them was in a particular area where a crime is committed. I also know that on numerous occasions, subjects will surveil an area where they intend to commit a crime prior to the date of the crime. Depending on the circumstances, this could be done a few days before or several months prior to the commission of a crime. During these types of surveillance, it is possible that an individual would not leave their cellular telephone at a separate location or turn it off since they do not plan to commit the offense on that particular day. On December 23, 2022, I applied for and was granted a search warrant for historical phone records between November 12, 2022 at 12 a.m. and November 14th at midnight, and for the 8458 phone held by the phone provider of AT&T, approximately 24 hours preceding and following the times of the homicides. I'm sorry. Maybe it's because I'm just like reading a lot. It's making me tired. On December 23rd, 2022, pursuant to that search warrant, I received records for the 8458 phone from AT&T. These records indicated that the 8458 phone is subscribed to Bryan Kohberger at an address in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, and the account has been open since June 23rd, 2022. These records also indicated historical cell site location information for the 8458 phone. After receiving this information, I consulted with an FBI special agent that is certified as a member of the Cellular Analysis Survey Team. Members of CAST are certified with the FBI to provide expert testimony in the field of historical CSLI and are required to pass extensive training that includes both written and practical examinations prior to being certified with CAST, as well as the completion of yearly certification requirements. Additionally, the FBI CAST SA that I consulted with has over 15 years of federal law enforcement experience, which includes 6 years with the FBI. From information provided by CAST, I was able to determine estimated locations for the 8458 phone from November 12, 2022 to November 13, 2022, the time period authorized by the court. On November 13, 2022, at approximately 2:42 a.m., the 8458 phone was utilizing cellular resources that provide coverage to blank, Pullman, Washington, hereafter the Kohberger residence. At approximately 2:47 a.m., the 8458 phone stops reporting to the network, which is consistent with either the phone being in an area without cellular coverage, the connection to the network is disabled, such as putting the phone on airplane mode, or that the phone is turned off. The 8458 phone does not report to the network again until approximately 4:48 a.m., at which time it utilized cellular resources that provide coverage to Idaho State Highway 95 south of Moscow, Idaho, near Blaine, Idaho, north of Genesee. Between 4:50 a.m. and 5:26 a.m., the phone utilizes cellular resources that are consistent with the 8458 phone traveling south on Idaho State Highway 95 to Genesee, Idaho, then traveling west towards Uniontown, Washington, and then back into Pullman, Washington. At approximately 5:30 a.m., the 8458 phone is utilizing resources that provide coverage to Pullman, Washington, and consistent with the phone traveling back to the Kohberger residence. The 8458 phone's movements are consistent with the movements of the white Elantra that is observed traveling north on Stadium Drive at approximately 5:27 a.m. Based on a review of the 8458 phone's estimated locations and travel, the 8458 phone's travel is consistent with that of the white Elantra. Further review indicated that the 8458 phone utilizes cellular resources on November 13, 2022 that are consistent with the 8458 phone leaving the area of the Kohberger residence at approximately 9 a.m. and traveling to Moscow, Idaho. Specifically, the 8458 phone utilized cellular resources that would provide coverage to the King Road residence between 9:12 and 9:21 a.m. The 8458 phone next utilized cellular resources that are consistent with the 8458 phone traveling back to the area of the Kohberger residence and arriving to the area at approximately 9:32 a.m. Now, this is a problem that I had with this portion of this, because this right here, this 9:12 to 9:21, this back and forth, this is what has had my attention from the very beginning. Like everything else, when it came to like the towers, whenever they started explaining the towers and how like big the distances, like the radius of the coverage of the towers, they basically showed, like, we've seen all the maps. At this point, if you've been following this since the beginning, we've seen the maps, we've seen the locations of the different towers, we've seen like the coverage areas. He can be in his apartment and literally move from his kitchen and his living room. And because of the way that the traffic is, he could bounce from one tower to another and him not actually leave his apartment. If you're traveling north, but your phone can't actually grab onto a signal because of it being bad coverage or the traffic overloaded, it could jump you east, west, or backwards south, even though your location is continuing on the way that you're going. Cell phone pings, false information, a lot of stuff comes with these pings to the point where a lot of times they can't even really like validate that this is even something worth evidence, evidentiary wise. There's really not a lot to it. It has to have a lot more corroborating evidence. And the problem that I have with this is that the only other thing that they have for this is they have a car that fits the description going southbound on 95, like on camera footage. But at this point, it's daylight. Okay. You're telling me that the exact same cars, are the exact same cameras that the car would have been caught on in the middle of the night in the dark, that you're trying to say that you can say that it's his car. Those exact same cars, those exact same cameras are not capturing this car in the daylight where you can see maybe the silhouette of the person or see their face through the windshield or anything like that, or like a license plate. Because even the car that's going south on 95 that they are trying to say is on camera, what's the plate? Because it doesn't say that it's his plate, just says it's a similar vehicle. That doesn't tell me that it's him. And whenever you've got over 20,000 of the exact same cars that fit that description, how am I supposed to believe that? Now, a lot of people say, oh, it has to do with an ATM. We don't have an address for the ATM, regardless of what anybody wants to tell you. The documents that we have do not give an address for the ATM that they are saying that he used that morning. And if you look at the maps for the ATMs for that bank that he uses, there is one over there. There's one off of 95 in Moscow, right where they're saying that this car was apparently at. But there's also one south of where he lives in Pullman, which he would pass going to the Clarkston-Lewiston area whenever he would have left. So we don't have like a time really, I don't think, or an address. We just know that at some point, like he's at an ATM and he's on video at an ATM. And now that's part of the like self-authenticating records. I could be wrong about the time, but I know for a fact they don't have an address because we looked at all the documents. They don't have one. So it's based off of 3 locations that people are just assuming things off of because we don't have the actual fact. But to me, if you've got a car going south on 95 that you're going to try to claim is this guy's car, why can't you tell me that you can read the plate? Why can't you tell me you can see more that can tell me that it's really his car? We are at 9 o'clock in the morning when the sun's nice and bright. What about all the cameras, all the video camera thing? You have him on nothing. There's a lot of cars in that area. It's probably pretty easy to be like, that's the one, and just make it fit. That's their own words. I looked at this forever. I was expecting this to be the exact, like, precise stuff that Cast was going to tell us, because holy shit if that isn't specific. And then look how disappointing that all was. Because I sure the hell thought. Investigators found that the 8458 phone did not connect to a cell phone tower that provides service to Moscow on November 14th, 2022. But investigators do not believe the 8458 phone was in Moscow on that day. Oh, no, it says it did connect. Yeah, see, this is that false ping that we read about in the first one. It did connect to a cell phone tower that provides service to Moscow, but they don't believe he was over there. Why? What's so different about this one that you can prove with the other ones? Because you can't tell me that you can go back and get footage for all these months worth of crap that y'all are trying to say has been going on. And obviously you didn't, because you stood up during the plea hearing and said, we can't put him in direct contact with 1122 King Road. There's so many residents that live in that area. Just because his phone pinged over there over 24 times doesn't mean that he was ever at King Road. We can't put him there. We can't put him in direct contact. That's just so insane to me. They can say that kind of thing in a sentencing like that, or like at a plea hearing. That's wild. Based on my training, experience, and the facts of the investigation thus far, I believe that Kohberger, the user of the 8458 phone, was likely the driver of the white Elantra that is observed departing Pullman, Washington, and that this vehicle is likely suspect vehicle 1. Additionally, the route of travel of the 8458 phone during the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, and the lack of the 8458 phone reporting to AT&T between 2:47 and 4:48 is consistent with Kohberger attempting to conceal his location during the quadruple homicide that occurred at the King Road residence. Kohberger would likely have information on how cellular data can be utilized in criminal investigations as part of his past studies. So you're going to sit there and tell me that he would have all of this information and still be stupid enough to turn off his phone after he left his apartment? Come on now, Payne. Come on now, Payne. On December 23rd, 2022, I was granted a search warrant for Kohberger's historical CSLI from June 23rd, 2022 to current, prospective location information, and a PIN register trap and trace on the 8458 phone to aid in efforts to determine if Kohberger stalked any of the victims in this case prior to the offense, conducted surveillance on the King Road residence, was in contact with any of the victims' associates before or after the alleged offense, any locations that may contain evidence of the murders that occurred on November 13th, 2022, the location of the white Elantra registered to Kohberger, as well as the location of Kohberger. On December 23rd, 2022, pursuant to that search warrant, I received historical records for the 8458 phone from AT&T from the time the account was opened in June 2022. After consulting with CAS Special Agent, I was able to determine estimated locations for the 8458 phone from June 22nd to present, the time period authorized by the court. The records for the 8458 phone show the 8458 phone utilizing cellular resources that provide coverage to the area of 1122 King Road on at least 12 occasions prior to November 13th, 2022. I overslept is what I think my problem is. On Fridays, we kind of just like crash out in the living room and fall asleep when we fall asleep. And I'm pretty sure that we A, went to bed too late, and then B, I overslept. Because dang, if I am like, for no reason, I really didn't do much at all today. So I'm like really tired for like nothing at all. Okay. All of these occasions, except for one, occurred in the late evening and early morning hours of their respective days. One of these occasions on August 21st, 2022, was this the same one that we were just talking about? So they mentioned this one in here twice. Okay. One of these occasions on August 21st, 2022, the 8458 phone utilized cellular resources providing coverage to the King Road residents from approximately 10:34 p.m. to 11:35 p.m. So straight up an hour. At approximately 11:37 p.m., Kohberger was stopped by Latell County Sheriff's Deputy Corporal Duke. See, and this is also kind of like stupid, honestly, because how can it only like utilize resources up until 2 minutes before he was pulled over, not considering the fact that the traffic stop is probably going to take like 15-ish minutes or so, maybe longer, depending on all the questions and all the stupidity. And then he also has to like actually leave the area first. So I feel like he would have been utilizing those resources for a lot longer than this is giving, because the stop is 2 minutes after the time that you see it. Like it's stupid. It's like ass backwards. The 8458 phone was utilizing cellular resources consistent with the location of the traffic stop during this time at Farm Road and Pullman Highway, which is also right there where the Buffalo Wild Wings and the grocery stores and all that stuff is. Further analysis of the cellular data provided showed the 8458 phone utilized cellular resources on November 13th, 2022, consistent with the 8458 phone traveling from Pullman, Washington to Lewiston, Idaho via U.S. Highway 195. At approximately 12:36 p.m., the 8458 phone utilized cellular resources that would provide coverage to Kate's Cup of Joe coffee stand located at blank Clarkston, Washington. Surveillance footage from the U.S. Chef store located at blank Clarkston, Washington, and adjacent to Kate's Cup of Joe showed a white Elantra consistent with suspect vehicle 1 drive past Kate's Cup of Joe at a time consistent with the cellular data from the 8458 phone. Hold on one second. Okay, I had to deal with my dogs for a second. Okay, let's see. Okay. At approximately 12:46 p.m., an 8458 phone then utilized cellular data in the area of the Albertsons grocery store at blank in Clarkston, Washington. Surveillance footage obtained from the Albertsons showed Kohberger exit the white Elantra, consistent with suspect vehicle 1, at approximately 12:49 p.m. Interior surveillance cameras showed Kohberger walk around the store, purchase unknown items at the checkout, and leave at approximately 1:04 p.m. Kohberger's possible path of travel is depicted below, not to scale. Oh, we don't even have it here. So they don't have it here, but it's in the one that we got from the PCA, like itself. Additional analysis of records for the 8458 phone indicated that between approximately 5:32 p.m. and 5:36 p.m., the 8458 phone utilized cellular resources that provide coverage to Johnson, Washington. The 8458 phone then stops reporting to the network from approximately 5:36 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. That is consistent with the 8458 phone being in the area that the 8458 phone traveled in the hours. What? That is consistent with the 8458 phone being in the area that the 8458 phone traveled. I'm guessing so. I can't. Okay. In the hours immediately following the suspected time the homicides occurred. On December 27th, 2022, Pennsylvania agents recovered the trash from Kohberger family residence located in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. That evidence was sent to the Idaho State Lab for testing. On December 28th, 2022, the Idaho State Lab reported that a DNA profile obtained from the trash and the DNA profile obtained from the sheath identified a male as not being excluded as the biological father of suspect profile. At least 99.9998% of the male population will be expected to be excluded from the possibility of being the suspect's biological father. Based on the above information, I requested an arrest warrant be issued for Bryan C. Kohberger for burglary at 1122 King Street in Moscow, Idaho, and 4 counts of murder in the first degree for the murders of Maddie Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. So that's probably not the first report for this, but it's definitely pretty damn close to the way that they had the PCA that got released written. One of the first reports I think that we read on the second drop that we did for these, the second video that we did for these, was like the beginning of the walkthrough of King Road that Payne has, and then this would be like that other portion. So they would just have like copy and pasted these two together. There's a lot more information in these. In this one, I feel like it's a lot more detailed, but still not like, you know, like at all. Like, honestly, not at all. Okay. Now we're going to go to number 137. It's an NRN, no redactions needed. Receipt of NDAs. So this is where they had to sign all their non-disclosures to be like part of the gag order, I guess. Okay. Receipt of NDAs and Lieutenant Mooney's supplemental CD 157. ISP CD containing supplemental 140 and photos of Kernodle's belongings. Okay, so number 140, we're going to get to in a few minutes because this one's 137. But it's from Dustin Blaker, and it's photos of items requested to be held by the defense. Okay. On January 31st, 2023, Lieutenant Mooney from ISP provided me with the original copies of the non-disclosure agreements made between ISP and Disaster Response, as well as a CD containing supplemental report number 140 and photos of Kernodle's belongings. I provided the documents to MPD records to be scanned and attached to this case. I booked the CD into MPD evidence. Interesting. Non-disclosure agreements between ISP and Disaster Response. Okay. This one is Lawrence Mowry. This is number 138. And this is Kohberger warrant for Yik Yak. I really I don't know how they could. I guess they could just pull it from like the actual like university board itself. I'm wondering if they have like all the conversations from that day that were being posted on that board. Because they seem interesting, especially the people that and the things that are being talked about so early on. Okay. This is written on 2/1/23. On January 24th, 2023, I applied for a warrant for the user subscriber information and user data associated with a Yik Yak account for Bryan Kohberger with any of the following identifiers: 2 Gmail addresses, DeSales, the phone number, and the IMEI. On January 25th, 2023, the warrant was granted and signed by Magistrate Megan Marshall with 7 days to serve the warrant. January 26, 2023, at approximately 0852 hours, the warrant was served via the Yik Yak law enforcement portal. On January 27, 2023, I received an email from Yik Yak with the response to the data requested pursuant to the warrant. A copy of the email was saved to a computer in the secure forensic computer lab in the Moscow Police Department. In reviewing the contents, I found only the following information: poster phone number blank, poster UID blank and blank, date joined October 11th, 2022. So he would have like just barely joined it at some point after starting class, I guess. I responded to the email requesting clarification on if there was any way to correlate the UID with posts from other UIDs, date logs, and post or dates of Yik Yak's viewed. A warrant return receipt and affidavit were completed, and these documents were sent to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office, and then a copy of the receipt was sent to Yik Yak. Yeah, that's what I mean right there. Like, is there going to be a way they can go in and like pull up all the conversations for everybody that was talking about the homicides on that date to see who was talking about Emma Bailey being involved, who was talking about the possible substance connection? Like, can they go in and see all of that? I mean, it's 2025. Let's be so for real. I'm sure they can. Okay, so this is Lawrence Mowry again for a Dropbox warrant for Kohberger. On January 24th, 2023, I applied for a warrant for the user subscriber information and user data associated with a Dropbox account of Bryan Kohberger with any of the following identifiers. It's the same ones as all of them. On January 25th, 2023, the warrant was granted and signed by Magistrate Megan Marshall with 7 days to serve. On January 30th, 2023, at approximately 12:03 hours, the warrant was served via the Dropbox portal. On February 2nd, 2023, I received an email from Dropbox stating the data requested was ready for download. He logged in, saved it to the computer. In reviewing the data, it showed the account belonged to Bryan Kohberger with an email address of blank@desales.edu. The account was created on March 5th, 2021. It showed the last login date of March 9th, 2021. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay. There were 3 files on the account in the account data. 2 appeared to be associated with using the Dropbox service. The third was an MP4 video titled Kids for Cash. This appeared to be a movie released in 2013, and IMDb.com provides the following as an overview. Kids for Cash is a riveting look behind the notorious judicial scandal that rocked the nation. Beyond the millions paid in high-stakes corruption, Kids for Cash exposes a shocking American secret. In the wake of the shootings at Columbine, a small town celebrates a charismatic judge who is hell-bent on keeping kids in line until one parent dares to question the motives behind his brand of justice. This real-life thriller reveals the untold stories of the masterminds at the center of the scandal and the chilling aftermath of lives destroyed in the process. A stunning emotional roller coaster. So it's a true crime movie. I wonder how many of y'all in this chat right now have watched this about Columbine. A warrant return receipt and affidavit were completed, and these documents were sent to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office and then a receipt to Dropbox. I honestly don't think I've even heard of that before. Okay, so now we have the 140 that was just previously mentioned. It's written by Dustin Blaker on 2/2/23. Photos of items requested to be held by the defense. On February 2nd, 2023, at around 0800 hours, Corporal Brett Payne and myself responded to the secure storage area at the city shop to take photos of property belonging to Dylan Mortensen and another unidentified female. I wonder if it's the girl, the LM chick that was there for a while, like she just left some stuff there. MPD had previously removed items belonging to, I'm guessing this would be Dylan, but there's more stuff apparently. Dylan, Bethany, Xana, Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee. Items had also been removed from a spare bedroom on the first floor. Ann Taylor, defense counsel, was granted permission to go through these items to see what could be released back to the proper owners. Prior to Miss Taylor being given a chance to look at these items, property belonging to Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee had already been released. MPD had also given Dylan back her belongings, but were able to get her to return them. Did they try to get the rest of them to return them? I don't know. Because we only saw a report about Dylan being asked to bring back her stuff. And that's whenever they said that they couldn't fit a table back into the cop's car, so they broke the table in half. Or just, broke it in general. For it to be able to be, fitting in the car, which is interesting. Broke the evidence, but okay. Okay. Miss Taylor requested we set along the following items. Items from Dylan's belongings. A handwritten note. Okay. Pink and white blanket with red hearts. Pink and white cloth possible used as a curtain or decoration. Black and white Van shoes, red and white unknown brand shoes, black and white Converse shoes. Items from the spare bedroom. Adidas black and white short sleeve t-shirt size small, green and pink coat, unknown brand. Why? The above items were placed in cardboard boxes and set aside until Miss Taylor can get a court order stating she can take the items. How odd. I want to know what this is about, though. A handwritten note. What did it say? What did it say? And that's actually interesting because the paper said that this was supposed to mainly be about like stuff that they wanted to keep that belonged to Xana. And this is really just talking about Dylan. Unless the items, no, the items that they're talking about are Dylan's. It said supplemental 140 was going to be about Xana. Them lying hookers. Okay. Jason House, vehicle crash crossing crime scene. What? Okay. Jason House, never heard of you. This is something on camera. What the frick frack is this? Okay. On 2/2/23 at approximately 1700 hours, I responded to a single vehicle crash at 500 Queen Road, so in the apartment complex. While parked in the parking lot of blank Queen Road, directly above the 1122 King Road crime scene, MP and AF were attempting to push P's silver Nissan Versa off a frozen patch of the lot. While attempting to push the vehicle, it rolled forward off the patch of ice and down the embankment, crossing past the crime scene tape and striking a tree approximately 20 feet from the house. Can you imagine? Holy shit. P stated that he crossed the crime scene tape and placed the car in park, then turned off the engine. P explained that he did not go past the vehicle or near the home. I would have been freaking the hell out. P came, I'm going to guess that's P. Well, I don't know. They're not telling us. Someone came and removed the vehicle while officers were on scene. No one went past the front of the vehicle or approached the house, but the taped off scene was entered for removal of the vehicle. The vehicle sustained damage to the front bumper and was still operable. That sucks. The doctor... maybe not doctor. The DR has been attached in the involvement files for this report. The involved parties and the crash photos can be viewed in the case file. That sucks. That sucks. Okay, 142. Now we're on to Brett Payne, and this is the release of the Chapin vehicles. Okay. We were wondering when Ethan was going to actually get that back. Like, we know obviously that they have the red Jeep, but we don't know. I don't think we've heard anything about when they got the golf clubs back. Maybe that'll be in here. Okay, this is Payne again, right? Okay, in February. On February 9th, 2023, I met with Stacy and, oh my God, is it Joe? Why are these names like eluding my brain now? Is it Joe Chapin? That's not right. Okay, anyway, Stacy Chapin at the City of Moscow shop. They came to Moscow to retrieve the 2 vehicles Ethan Chapin had at 1122 King Road. Okay, so then he did have. This is crazy that the Ford Explorer just like never was anything that like in our face. I assisted with getting the vehicles in working order and released the Ford Explorer and Jeep Wrangler to them. There was no visible damage to the vehicles, and they were released to the Chapins without issue. A new battery was provided by the Moscow City shop for the Wrangler as it would not start. Jim, that's true. Jim. Yeah, I don't know. Like there's just so many names. My brain is like so tired of the names. The past couple of days, like I just feel like overload. I was missing up Jenna and Josie because, you know, there's just a million names everywhere. Okay. Brett Payne. Collection of Goncalves' Apple Watch. We were questioning about that. A lot of people actually were questioning about the smartwatches. Okay. Item 629, Apple Watch. On February 9th, 2023, I was notified by blank SG, representative of the Goncalves family, so Shannon Gray, that he discovered an Apple Watch in Kaylee's belongings, which had been released to the Goncalves family on December 12, 2022. Gray stated he took a video of himself removing the watch from the box. I told Gray MPD would take custody of the watch as it could be helpful to the investigation. That's crazy that they just like looked right past that. Okay. Gray brought the Apple Watch to me at Moscow Police Department later on February 8th, 2023. I had Gray sign the chain of custody sticker and provided him with my business card, on the back of which were instructions to send me the video of his discovery of the watch. I booked the Apple Watch into MPD evidence upon ending our conversation. I have since sent 2 emails requests to Gray for the video of him locating the watch. As of this writing, I had not received any images or videos of Gray finding the watch. Why are you being shady, Gray? If you really have a video of yourself finding the damn thing, send it over. It takes 2 seconds. In addition, I spoke to several members of ISP and MPD who boxed up Kaylee's belongings. None of them remember seeing the item. Are they trying to plant an Apple Watch into the evidence? That's wild. That's wild. Sketchy and wild. Okay. This one is Lawrence Mowry. This is getting a warrant for apparently a Twitter account that Bryan Kohberger had. 1/26/23. On January 24th, 2023, I applied for a warrant for the user subscriber information and user data associated with a Twitter account of Bryan Kohberger with any of the following identifiers, the same 5 that they've been using. On January 25th, 2023, the warrant was granted and signed by Magistrate Megan Marshall with 7 days to serve. I attempted several times to serve the warrant via the portal. However, Twitter would not recognize my city-issued email as government-issued. An extension to the warrant service was requested and granted by the court. I was finally able to gain access February 6, 2023 at approximately 09:13 hours. The warrant was served via the Twitter law enforcement portal. I received an email shortly after the submission confirming the receipt of the request and assigning an internal case number blank. On February 12th, 2023, I received an email from Twitter stating the data requested pursuant to the warrant was available to download. On February 15th, I logged in, began downloading the files, and saved them to a computer. In reviewing the contents, I found the following data: account ID, phone number, user creation IP, created at, email, created via, username, and account display name. A warrant return receipt and affidavit were completed, and these documents were sent to the Latell County Prosecutor's Office, and then a receipt was also sent to Twitter. So no direct information. Okay. What the frick frack is even this? Okay. Lawrence Mallory. Narrative. Created an error. Warrant returned for AT&T phone blank was previously returned by Corporal Payne. Okay, so they just like made a report for nothing. Okay. 146. Brett Payne. We have victim files to records. Let's see what that's about. This is just one page. Scoot over. What are you doing? It doesn't want to scoot over for some reason. Why don't you want to scoot over for some reason? Odd. I can't get it to scoot over. There it goes. Okay. On or about January 6th, FBI analyst T provided me a file for each of the 4 victims. The files contained background information on the victims from the University of Idaho. The information was obtained by request during the early days of the investigation. I maintained the files in a locked file cabinet in my office until February 16th, 2023. On February 16th, 2023, I turned the originals over to MPD records clerk MA in order for the files to be scanned and attached to the case file. And that's it. No other information. Okay, so now we have 147. It's 2 pages. Brett Payne. It just says JM follow-up, so I'm going to assume this wouldn't be Jenna. Pretty sure Jenna's last name is McClure or something like that, so this would probably be Jenna. Nope, incorrect. This is a boy. This is a dude. Okay. On February 16th, 2023, I was notified by Sergeant Blaker that JM had called requesting follow-up on a tip he provided during the investigation. Sergeant Blaker provided me with the phone number of blank. I called M at that number and spoke to him. The conversation was not recorded. Of course not. Of course it wasn't recorded. What if it would have been important and your idiot ass didn't freaking record it? M started by stating he lived at blank in Moscow and had called in a tip early on in the investigation about seeing a vehicle drive by his house at approximately 4:25 to 4:30 on the morning of November 13th, 2022. M told me he was out front of his house at that time placing items into his recycling and trash bins. M stated he was wearing a headlamp at that time because it was dark and his front house lights were not on. A headlamp is a wild thing to have in your possession. That's not normal to walk around like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with a headlamp on. I mean, maybe to some people, but headlamp is literally like my last option of flashlight gear. That's all I'm saying. M stated, there was only one street light in the area at the corner of his property. M stated he had been in and out of his house several times. On the last of these times, he told me he heard a vehicle approaching his home from the north, which would be Conestoga Drive, because it runs north and south of the area, headed towards West Palouse River Drive. M was adamant he could not swear to what type of vehicle he saw. However, he remembered seeing the headlights and the taillights. M described the taillights as being teardrop shaped and about waist high. So like any other vehicle, honestly. The only thing he remembered about the headlights was that they were lower to the ground than... The only thing he remembered about the headlights is that they were lower to the ground than the taillights. Okay. M also told me the vehicle was going faster than usual, but did not seem to be driving erratically or dangerously. M also told me he thought at the time the vehicle may have been a dark SUV, but based this only of the taillight height and the fact that he could not see the vehicle itself due to the lighting. I asked M if it was common for him to be out in the early hours of the morning. M stated he often walked his service dog or took his trash out at that time. M told me it was quite unusual for anyone to be driving in that area at that time and said he had not seen many cars driving at that time since the morning of November 13th, 2022. M told me he spoke to an ISP investigator during the investigation and told the investigator he thought the vehicle might have been a dark SUV based on the above information. Remember what Enon Harsh said? Wasn't it a dark black SUV? However, M told me he had since tried to tell the color of other vehicles driving by his house when it was dark outside, and he has been unable to tell what color the vehicles are because of the poor lighting, but you can still tell if one's dark or light, broski. That's one thing you can tell. M stated he was contacted by someone from the Kootenai County Public Defender's Office who asked him about the dark SUV he caught on security camera. M told me he did not have any video footage, nor was he certain the vehicle was an SUV or a sedan. M expressed several times the only thing he could attest to was the shape of the taillights he saw on the vehicle that night. I thanked M for his time and told him to call with any further information. Okay. Okay, now we have a Google warrant information, but it doesn't say for who. I mean, it says a Twitter account of Bryan Kohberger, but then it like has this blanked out right here for some reason. I don't know why it would do that. I guess maybe it's like the username, maybe? I don't know. Okay. On January 24th, 2023, I applied for a warrant for the user subscriber information and user data associated with a Twitter account of Bryan Kohberger with any of the following identifiers, blank@gmail.com. On January 25th, 2023, the warrant was granted and signed by Magistrate Megan Marshall with 7 days to serve. On January 26, 2023, at approximately 09:11 hours, the warrant was served. I received an email shortly after the submission confirming receipt, and it was assigned an internal reference number. On February 19th, 2023, I received an email from Google stating the data requested pursuant to the warrant was available to download. On February 20th, 2023, I logged into the law enforcement portal and began downloading the files to the forensic computers located in the secure forensic computer lab at the Moscow Police Department. In reviewing the contents, I found the following subscriber information: Google account ID blank, name blank, given name blank, family name M, created on blank, terms of service IP blank, terms of service language English, birthday 94. Okay, last updated 7/24/22. So July, before he moved. After he moved on 7/1, I believe. Last login 7/24/22 with 12/20/21 and 6/23/21. Last login IP. Okay. I then examined the Google Play library associated with the account and located the following: Hinge dating app and Bumble. Last accessed February 12th, 2022 and February 13th, 2022. So back in Pennsylvania. In examining the email content associated with the Gmail account, I found emails referencing a Twitch account with the username of blank. I also located emails associated with a YouTube account using the Gmail account that referenced a blank blank. A warrant, return receipt, and affidavit were completed, and these documents were sent to Latell County Prosecutor's Office to be returned, and they sent a copy to Google. Okay. Number 149 does not need any redactions. Okay, so release of crime scene. Roger Lanier. Insane. February 21st, 2023. Release of crime scene and residence at 1022 King Road. 1022, broski? And it's 1022 in here twice. February 21st, 2023, I received a copy of an agreement between the University of Idaho and the owner of the residence of 1122 King Road for the University of Idaho to take over security and remediation of the house. This was done after the crime scene was released by Judge Marshall's order and in coordination with Team Idaho Property Management, the property owner's attorney, University of Idaho, and Moscow Police Department. All responsibility to maintain and remediate the property was taken over by the University of Idaho. So as of 2/21. They don't even have the freaking address right. Don't even have the freaking address right. That's wild. Okay. Okay. This is going to be the last one for now. This is number 150. I'm going to go and feed the children's and see what else I need to do. And then I'll probably honestly be on later because it's Saturday. Okay, so this is Dustin Blaker from February 22nd. Plates from Ames for FBI tech working license plates. Okay. A few weeks after November 13th, I was at work when I was asked by MT, analyst with the FBI, if we had a way to run our records to see if we had any license plates for a white Hyundai Elantra 2011 to 2013. Oh, okay, so they did do this kind of thing already. Okay. I was able to run all vehicles through Spillman, and I had DE, parking enforcement officer, to run vehicles through Ames. Ames is our parking ticket software. E provided me with a printout of the plates, and I handed it to T so it could be provided to the FBI techs who were checking plates and looking for leads. That's it. I was recently provided with the printout of these plates, and I provided to MPD records department. Okay, well, that didn't really give a lot of answers about anything. If you want to be so for real. If you want to be so for real. Okay. That's it for now. We'll go through 151 through like 175 tonight, probably. Because it's like a 314 altogether. So that's going to be interesting whenever we get to the actual, like, they finally arrested him and there's information, because again, according to everything, like, he hasn't talked about the crimes while he's been in jail, or at least there's no reports of him even like having discussions with anyone about anything. There's just not really a lot coming out that makes it any sense, honestly. I just don't even know. Okay, let me see what I've missed over here, because I haven't been looking at this thing at all. Okay. Thank you for the $9.99, Penny. Please reread the doc you read the other night about JS apartment. It said the blood splatter was similar to the blood spatter in the stairwell to the basement. Oh, I think you said this to me last night. Yeah, no, that's one of the first things I noticed, is that they were comparing the way that it was on the door to what they've seen at King Road. But then here we are again with them not like giving us any answers to stuff. It's very sketchy. So beyond sketchy. Thank you for the 5, Michelle. I do not know who the hell anyone is anymore. I feel like I should be facing a wall. It's Barmy. I mean, yeah, like the names are everywhere. There's so many, like, in the initials. I think that's maybe the problem. I think that's the issue that I'm having, is that like now we're getting all these names that aren't names. We're getting all of these initials, and it's like adding a bunch of people into the mix of everything that we've already known. So it's making it just feel like a big, huge cluster F, like even more. Because it's initials, it's not names. So it's not like we can like put a face to it or even consider it like a complete item. That makes sense. I think that's where I'm like, I'm starting to be like, bro, I can't even like think. There's too many damn people. Thank you for the $4.99, Caroline. I appreciate that so much. Thank you for the $4.99 plastic. I need help with resuming my membership, please. I've done everything I know to do and nothing works. Jules rocks. I know. I actually don't know how it's supposed to work, if you want to be so for real, because I've had memberships to where every single month they would expire and I would have to go in and redo it every single month. But then I've had memberships where it was automatic. It came out like through my PayPal. I never had to mess with it, and it just was automatic. So I don't know. I guess it's like a preference, or maybe something changes depending on like, I don't know. I don't know how that works. The only thing I can tell you is to like go click on the thing. I'll put these two in here because I honestly don't know. This is like the normally one. This is the normally one. And then this is the one apparently for iPhones. Well, if that one even goes through, because now it's acting like it doesn't want to send. Oh, it did. Okay. And this is a one for iPhones, I'm pretty positive. Yeah, like the ones that I had, like normally did automatically, but there was like 3 channels at one point that I had memberships for, and it would not do it automatically. Like I would constantly like go back in and like be in a chat, and all of a sudden I'm not green, and I'm like, I just did this, and then it would go back and there would be like a date. So I don't know. I guess it depends. I don't know why it would change depending on the channel, but that's been my experience. Welcome, Steph. Don't forget we have our members only live this Monday. We're going to be giving away this crap book. Thank you for the $4.99, Caroline. Jules, I had last night I had a dream that we met out in public. I think I'm addicted to your channel. Well, that's cool. Thank you so much for being here. It's very rare I'm even seen in public. I'm like a vampire. I never leave my house. 20 gifted memberships. Holy crap, Steph. Thank you so much. Miller time. 50. You gave away 20 at the beginning. Holy crap. Well, if anybody needed a membership, you probably got it now. Holy wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Legendary. Thank you for the $19.99 that you spend just to mess with me. You skipped the line that describes great detail how awesome I am. You're awesome. You don't need a line read out. You already know, broskies. Thank you for the $1.99 again, plastiques. I'm glad. I don't know why it does that. Mine are back and forth like that. I don't even know. Now, when it comes to this part, like I personally, because my YouTube like name, like not like actually being a channel, but like just being like someone to watch YouTube and comment has been around since like 2014. And so for some reason, I can't even like accept gifts. I don't think I can accept gifts. Not sure. It won't let me though. So there's not a lot that I can actually like do to help a lot of these problems because I don't even know how to work it myself. I honestly don't. Just get to what report? Are you late? Because we're done. So if you're coming in late and then like running your mouth because I'm talking, you're like way hella late because this is over. So that's ridiculous. Oh, look, there's some right here. Go to your channel, click the settings symbol, then subscriptions, memberships, find Jules on the list, click and you should be able to renew. Oh, okay. There's like a thing in the background. Bro, yes, delete that shit. Cancel it. And if you have the book, try to return it and return it to Amazon saying that it is completely full of false information. See if they'll let you get your money back. You haven't been able to do what? Join? Or like receive one? I know I can't receive gifts. It sucks. Yeah, that's why I have the second link. It doesn't work. What? Let me see what it says. Maybe they changed something because I've had the links for like 2 years ready to go. So maybe they changed something. No, it opens right up for me. It opens up for me, so I don't know. Amazon won't let me return the Book of Lies. Yeah, just return it. Return it. Just tell them straight up. Everything in this book is a lie. The truth about this case came out a week and a half after I bought it, and everything that he wrote in here is a damn lie, and I want my money back. I would. If I didn't already promise this book and write all the way up in it, this hoe would be going back. Okay, it's full of lies. It's full of lies. I just can't believe that he felt confident enough to put this book out, considering it's based off of interviews that were recorded back in 2023. Oh, I found out I won't be able to receive gifted memberships unless I open YouTube in a browser. See, I've tried to do it on Edge and on Chrome, and it won't let me. And it's because what are they it was like a word. There's like a not memorialized, but there's some sort of word for accounts that were created like 2014 and prior that like stops it from doing whatever it's supposed to actually do. But that's just how my luck always is anyway. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here, go feed my children's. I might be back like around 9 or 9:30. I know that it'll be late, but it's Saturday and I'd rather, guide people into this channel on a Saturday night than have a bunch of people out doing cray stuff on a weekend, saving lives out here. Just saying. Okay. I'm going to go ahead, get off of this thing. You guys go relax and I will see y'all in a little while. Let me go ahead and throw this out here. Where's my buttons? Okay, here we go. Please do not forget to leave a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. All right, you guys. I'll be back in a little while. See y'all.